Hello and welcome back to the channel. So right now we are still early in the season, and a lot has grown very fast. Remember months ago I told you guys that we started a lot of things off in our pots. We have 3-inch pots that we start things off in first, and we also have some trays. I like the pots better because you can put the mesh material into the bottom of the pot, and when it's time to transplant, instead of trying to struggle to get it out of the pot, that's one thing we did a little differently this year. Instead of putting directly in the pot, we put it in the biodegradable mesh material, so I could just pull that out and put that right into the ground. Also, we have these biodegradable flower pots that we used as well. So let me show you what the mesh material looks like. I see one of the planter pots is over here. I'm going to grab this and show you what I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, here's a tray. Well, there's the tray. I'll just leave the tray there, but this is what the mesh looks like. You can take that out. Sometimes the roots are so developed that you can just actually plop it out and reuse these, right? And so that is what has taken place in some cases. So we have a lot going on here, and I want to share it with you all. A good example, we have lettuce growing in these pots, and I want to explain what we did here. That's a little different. So our minds are thinking about, how do we save water? How do we save water in this growing season? Because last year the drought was terrible. So it was dropped in my spirit, y'all. Let me just sit here for a moment. Grab a chair here.
Jimmy Benjamin got a question for you.
Okay, turn the walkie-talkie off. This is a working farm, y'all, so y'all gonna always hear some chatter sometimes in the background from the walkie-talkie. But let me show you what came to my mind. It was like it was dropped in my spirit. And I almost had one of those moments where I said, wow, they call it an aha moment, right? In Hebrew, aha means a show of excitement. Hold on. Got to show my husband something. Baby, do you copy? Baby, do you copy? I believe they're here with our delivery. Today is that day. I'm glad you didn't pull off yet. They're here with the delivery.
This was delivered Wednesday.
Well, it looks like they're a day early. Did they stop in front?
Yeah, I just seen them go by. Okay, yeah, I found the PVC pipe, y'all.
Did they slow down?
Yes, sir.
Did they slow down in front of the house? Do you copy, baby?
Pass us by. I'm wave them down. They backing up.
Okay. So let me get back to this. Anyway, where did I leave off? So I had an aha moment. And I said to myself, we have all of these trays. These trays we bought years ago. You see these little trays right here. They hold water. Okay. They are meant to put seed pots in, or seed trays, should I say. But this is the portion that holds the water. And then we bought these years ago too. All of this, we bought a huge lot of garden supplies from this business that went out of business. And so a lot of it's been stacked on the side of sheds here and there. We would use some of it every so often. But I said, those trays, I wonder if 2 of the pots can fit in the tray. And lo and behold, they do. Okay? They fit right into the tray. 2 of them fit into one tray. And so look, they hold water. Now that water you see there, you can add your fertilizer there, because we use fish emulsion in our garden. Okay? That's some great fertilizer. Okay? And so what we've, and this water that you're seeing in these trays, this is actually from the rain that we got the other day. So as you see, this helps to keep what's planted in the pots moist during times of drought. The water comes in right from the bottom. First of all, it rained from the top, and so you still have the water in the tray at the bottom that the plants can feed from. Any fertilizer you put in there, it can feed from that as well. And it makes it so even if you get a period of time to where there is no rain, but you just so happen to have these trays under there, I said, wow, aha, you know, that was an aha moment for me. Something sitting right there, because last year we struggled because of the drought, right? But having this option in place makes it easier for our plants to stay watered during any type of drought period. Okay, this is a huge plus, and we have a whole lot more of these left that we are going to be putting in other areas as well. We're going to be taking some to our other locations as well, because these are going to be a great help for trying to conserve water. And I'm looking at the greens. These greens grew so fast. These are transplants. They grew so fast. It is amazing. And I thank the Most High for that, because we're going to have to get ourselves ready to plant more in their place, right? And so that will be considered succession planting. Now, some people leave them in so that they can go to seed and they can collect the seeds. But right now, it's all about food right now. Getting as much as you can. We have a lot of seeds already, so we won't be letting these go to seed. We use that far corner there to do onions, okay, and then we have some red Russian kale, some dinosaur kale, we have the red mustards, and we have spinach and Swiss chard and all kinds of lettuces and all kinds of mustard greens. And in these areas we don't have some of the other items. We have another bed that we've transplanted, and so we will see those in just a few weeks come on up. These were recently transplanted. That's why they're very small. Different lettuces that have been transplanted in these pots. Then we have some beets in these. Okay. We write on the labels what it is. This right here is Ford Hook Swiss chard. Swiss chard can get pretty big, so we only put one plant per pot on those. Then we have some other kale there. These we haven't transplanted yet because we have some other things that are growing in pots, and they will be going into these larger pots real soon. Now, that bed right there, last year that was our potato bed. We have onions in there for this growing season. Okay. Now, in these beds, we have various greens and broccoli and other items. These we directly sowed into the ground, so they're much smaller. So we're trying different things. Some are transplants, some are direct sows into the ground. Okay. So we love greens here. So we have a ton of greens planted in various places, not just back here in this area of the farm, but also up front. Greens, right? So let's get back over here. In this area over here, this whole row is potatoes. As you see, the potatoes are already starting to come through. You see the green heads of the potatoes are already starting to come through. So we are going to allow them to come through a little bit more, and then we're going to put another layer of straw and some more soil. Okay, so let's come over here. Then I'm going to tell you all what we're going to do to protect all of this as well. And so we have some sweet peas that are in this area here on both sides, so that they can climb up this trellis here. This whole area right here is a whole nother patch of greens that we directly planted into the ground. As you see, they are starting to pop through as well. They're babies right now, but they have popped through. This whole area right here is cauliflower. And these are transplants from those that were in our 3-inch flower pots. So there's a lot going on back here, and we are still not finished. We have all of these sections right here. That section we haven't planted in yet. That section we haven't. That section and that section. Those sections are going to be various types of beans. Okay, various types of beans. Those first two sections we had the sweet peas. Okay, and so this whole row right here, we haven't designated for any particular thing yet, but it will be ready to go when some of our other things are in need of transplant. Now this particular row right here, it is still covered in plastic. Some of it came up, of course, but notice we have the trellis there as well. We are going to be using that area for cucumbers and other things that need to climb. Of course, you have to space some of it depending on what it is, because you don't want cross-pollination of the wrong types of things. So we may put some peppers in this area as well. But cucumbers and squash may go in two opposite ends on this trellis system here. Now this area right here are our ginkgo seedlings, okay, in various stages of life. These front ones here are about a year old, okay, and then you'll get further into some that are 2 years old, and then as we go further, we're getting into those that are more like 3 years old. Okay, and so we're using the same tray system here, the same tray system. Now this is water that we actually put in. Of course, the rain topped it off for us. The reason I'm mentioning the water that's in these trays is because we did put fish emulsion water in these trays, and they are holding up quite well. So even if you don't get rain for days, these trays really help out with keeping everything nourished properly. They really help out big time. So we still have a lot of plastic that's around. Sometimes we cut it away. Other times I say let's just leave it in case we need to cover up something. It looks a little rough when the plastic is down, but it helps to keep weeds at bay, if you know what I mean. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is very important to me, because I love my goats, right? And goats are animals who are going to do what they do. You can't get upset at them when they just do what they do. If they find some food, they're coming for it. Do you understand what I'm saying, right? So a couple of times they made their way back here, but they didn't get to any food. But had we not seen them, they sure would have. And so I said, look, I don't want them goats to make me cry. They will definitely make you cry if they start tearing into some things. I remember years ago, Shim had, was it a Japanese? He has a Japanese maple. Those goats tore that thing up. And you know Japanese maples are not cheap trees. And so he was upset that they, got into his garden. They would eat up flowers. And they have eaten some of our food before. I don't get I get bothered by it. Yes, I do. But I don't get as upset. I'm like, hey, we shouldn't have let them get loose like that, So I put it on us. It's our fault if they get loose, and this is what they do. So what I decided, so that I don't have to be in tears because the goats get back here and tear into things, I said, okay, you see these posts in the corner there? All of these posts have been set, right? They are going to be fencing this whole area in, and those other two, not other two, but that square bin there and these two rectangle bins, we're going to put a hoop style tunnel greenhouse over those, okay? To protect the food, because animals are going to do what they do. Even last year we had rabbits that just had a good time. They were back here just tearing up stuff, right? This row right here where we have the potatoes now, we grew corn in this area. And those rabbits were tearing the stuff up. And I said, I can't be mad at them. We need to block it off. So we are going to be putting fencing around this whole square. Okay, fencing this off. You have to do what you have to do when you have animals. Because if you don't protect their food, if you don't protect your food, it's going to become their food. and you can't get mad at them. So I just want to encourage those of you who are growing for the first time, just do all that you can. And the one thing that I want to say is, when you don't know what the weather's going to be like, think ahead, prepare for the season before the season. So last year when we had the drought, we were completely unprepared for it. Even though we had water in those barrels right there, it just wasn't enough because you have so much to water. And the drip lines weren't working like we thought they should. And so we decided that a lot of things that can be grown in these pots, that we're going to put them in the pots. These 3-inch pots, they can very easily hold greens and lettuce and peppers, even cucumbers. And so that brings me to this other thing that we decided to do. We do have a tank, a gallon tank. It holds 35 gallons of water. So that tank, we put it on a cart or on anything that we have with wheels. And that allows us to come and water the trees. And so let me show you this here. What we decided to do, since we're going to water the trees anyway, we said, okay, this is what we will do. We will plant in these 3-gallon pots cucumbers, peppers, summer squash, cayenne peppers, anything that can grow in pots. And we will put them under the trees, and we will actually bury the bottom of the pot in the mulch, okay? Those are under the mulch. And the reason being is the roots will go through and they will get the same moisture that the trees are getting, okay? So when we're over here to water the cucumbers that are in the pots, the tree is going to get that watering as well. And so we did that around all of the fruit trees that are in this area. We didn't do it in the ones up front yet. We may or may not do that because, again, we are trying out a number of different things this year to help save water as best as we can. Now with these, it's not that we're actually saving water, but we're, you know, they call it killing two birds with one stone. And we haven't planted in these that are over here yet. We're still going to be getting things that are already in planter pots and transplanting them into these in the coming days, most high willing, of course. But yes, a whole lot is going on here on the farm, and this is the rear area. We call this the rear area. Okay, this is where a whole lot happens back here. But we do have other smaller areas up front that we have various greens and spinach and kales and lettuces and cucumbers, tomatoes, and just anything that you want in the garden, watermelons and pumpkins. We've already put our watermelons in their area, and we'll show that another time. The pumpkins will be going in shortly too. We just experienced that weird frost for 2 nights, so we will transplant the pumpkins hopefully in the next few days or so, possibly even next week. It's not a big rush, but anyway, that is my update for now. I guess I can head on back. Have some other things to get into, but I wanted to capture the garden in the morning because the sun really brightens it up quite a bit. It makes it easier to see everything. It's a little less bright. Excuse the mess. We are working, you see one of the hoops there. It actually goes exactly over those 2 planter beds there, those 2 raised beds. I said, that's amazing. So we're going to be covering those up soon as well. But yes, a lot is going on the farm here. We are excited about this year. We give the Most High all the praise, glory, and honor. Okay. Again, these posts were set. We're going to be putting some fencing around these areas to keep the animals out. Not just our goats, but any animals, okay? Which includes those little rabbits that love to come and chow down. Last year we had a baby deer that wandered onto the property. We don't even know how he got on because everything is fenced in. I'm thinking that he came in through the gate when it was open. That's the only thing I can think of, because he was over there by Watchman's workshop, and he was just panting, and the kid said, "Mommy, there's a baby deer by Papa's workshop," you know. And so we had to get him and set him free, because we tried to give him some water. Of course, he didn't realize we were trying to help, but you know, he was afraid. So we tried to eliminate that fear as much as possible. But he ran off eventually. Kid said, "Can we keep him?" I'm like, "No, we can't keep him." I said, "You already got three deer, those goats over there." So anyway, I am done with this video. Thank you all for tuning in. So I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Until next time, I am out.